Freedom is a right of every person, individual. Each individual enjoys the freedom of belief, thought, expression, and action. The pluralism and diversity of religions. Here's the part that caused a huge controversy. So pay attention to this part. The pluralism and the diversity of religions, color, sex, race, and language are willed by God in his wisdom through which he created human beings. This turned into a massive issue because it's saying that God wills the diversity of religions. And then it's likened to in the same way that he wills color, sex, race, language diversities. So, like, wait, what? God, in the same way that he wills, various colors and races and languages, he wills diversity of religions. Wait, I thought Christianity is the one true religion. All that we just read from Vatican II. What's going on here? Is this a compromise of our faith? No. Pope Francis clarified. Bishop Athanasius Schneider went to him and asked him to clarify this. And Pope Francis clarifies that this is referring to his consequent will, not his antecedent will. If you're not familiar with the distinction, think of it like this. Let's say you're a judge. Let's say your son murdered somebody. He's caught, and he actually did it, and he's brought into your court. Your antecedent will does not want him to go to prison. Like, if, aside from the consideration of the murder, you don't want your son to go to prison, right? I mean, hopefully you don't want that, right? However, consequent will would be, yet, since you have violated the law, I have to execute justice, and so I will for you to go to prison. I don't antecedently will for you to go to prison. That is, prior to a consideration of the action that you took. I don't want you to go to prison. But since I'm a judge and I have to be just, you violated the law. I will, in a very qualified sense, for you to go to prison. In a very qualified sense. So there's one sense in which I don't will for you to go to prison. There's a different sense in which I do. It's the difference between antecedent and consequent will. So same thing applies here. Antecedently, God does not will the diversity of religions. He doesn't will the diversity of religions at all. He wills that everyone joins the one true church and embraces the truth in its fullness. But since he knows that many people are not going to, and they have an imperfection in their knowledge and lack of information and so on and so forth, he allows, if you will, for a diversity of religions. So by that allowance, in that sense, he wills for it. It's an allowance sense. It's like, since I know you're not going to embrace the truth or you're ignorant of the truth, I'm going to allow for a diversity of religions. In that sense, he wills it. In the consequent sense, not in the antecedent sense. So Pope Francis clarified that. Perhaps he could have done a better job clarifying that. I'm of that opinion, yeah. But he did clarify that. And again, if you're just going to read this, you have to, as a Catholic, read it in a way that's already harmonious with what the church has taught elsewhere. So you, even without Pope Francis giving that clarification, you're already duty bound to read it in that way that I just gave, the proper way, not in the way of, let me read it in the worst possible way. That would be a sin against charity. So we have a duty as Christians to read it in a harmonious way, even without that clarification. However, he still provided the clarification. Now, was this expressed in the best way because it's put right alongside of diversity of language and stuff like that? Because some of those can be in different categories, right? Diversity of races, for instance, or gender, right? That's in a different category than consequent will, especially gender and race. So was this a good move to put them right alongside of each other as if they're analogous, as if they're in the same category? Yeah, that's probably not a good way articulate it, because it gave people the impression that they're in the same category, and they're not. So here's where some legitimate criticism is, even though this checks out theologically. It is orthodox. Is this expressed in a very poor and confusing way that's easy to misinterpretation? Yeah. Yeah, it is. Should we have expressed it differently? Yes. This is where some legitimate criticism of the document is in order. But don't take it to where it doesn't need to go and say that it's teaching heresy. And in spite of this clarification, I still see people bring it up. I just saw somebody bring it up yesterday in the comment section. It's like, gosh, this has been clarified for 4 years now. You're still bringing this up?
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button. God bless.